Hello guys, welcome to my class, Business classes. Today we are going to take up a very important lesson from your textbook Vivgeo, prescribed for class 12, HSET second year, alternative English. The name of the lesson is The Testament of a Worker by R.K. Narayan. About the author, Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer Narayan Swamy, popularly known to his readers as R.K. Narayan, was born into a middle-class family which moved from rural Madras to the city of Madras when he was about 5 years old. Here he was admitted to a missionary school which provided him with the first opportunity to learn English. As a young boy, Narayan moved to Mysore with his parents and thereafter received his higher education at Maharaja's College in Mysore. He published his first novel titled Swamy and Friends in 1935. This was followed by another novel, The Bachelor of Arts, in 1937. In both these novels, Narayan had successfully created the mesmerizing world of Malgudi, with which he was to be identified in the days to come. Malgudi became the landscape that dominated Narayan's entire fictional world, also reflected in later novels like The Dark Room, The English Teacher, and The Financial Expert. He has more than 12 novels and about 5 collections of short stories to his credit, the most renowned of which is Malgudi Days. He was presented the prestigious Sahitya Akademi Award for his famous novel The Guide in 1958. The present essay is included in his volume A Writer's Nightmare, published in 1988. Here, the writer expresses his inclinations, his thinking, and his idea about an automobile and also about walking. He begins his essay like this: there are persons who have no ear for music, being tone deaf, others who have no eye for art, who may in a sense be called colorblind. In a similar category, I am impervious to the subtler values in a car. To me, an automobile is only the means to an end. I am satisfied if I am provided a seat and 4 wheels that can roll, and I am blind to all other points in a car. He calls it his constitutional defect, that he was blind, or he is blind to the subtler values of a sophisticated car. That means he usually doesn't notice the various fittings and gadgets in a fashionable car, in a very luxurious or a very costly car or an imported car. But unfortunately, he says that unfortunately he had to own an imported car which was full of sophistication. It was fully sophisticated and flashy, and whenever some auto pundit sees it, he or she becomes ecstatic, because those people like the fittings, like the sophisticated gadgets or the flashy look of the car. But R.K. Narayan, he never notices those things in a car. For him, a car is a means to an end. For him, an automobile is only the means to an end. So he doesn't notice the push button glass raiser or this display panel of the car, or the dashboard, or the sophisticated things, gadgets that are fitted in an imported car like his. And there are those things, digital alarm sort of thing, tape recorder, digital alarm with calculator, but he never notices them. For him he is satisfied when he is provided a seat and 4 wheels that can roll and take him to his destination. And he says that he is blind to all the subtler values of a car. And his driver is also of a typical kind. He cannot drive the car with the glass raised, with the glasses of the car raised, because he had to thrust his arm outside, and he used to give signals to the pedestrians or the passengers, and also he liked the noise outside in the streets. So the air conditioner which was supposed to make one's journey free from dust and heat and noise was switched on during the 10 years that R.K. Narayan used the car, for a total period of 30 minutes. Which worked out to less than 3 minutes a year. Whenever the air conditioner was on, AC was on, the windows were to be closed, which inhibited his driver, whose habit was to show right or left turn by thrusting his arm out, who, when the glass was raised, constantly hit it with his fist. He was also in the habit of gesticulating at erring pedestrians and addressing them loudly in passing. The author says that he lacks automobile sensibility, but he doesn't regret it. He admits that he lacks automobile sensibility, but he does not regret it. He has a strong belief that man's ultimate destiny lies in walking. That is why he is endowed with a pair of legs which can operate without petrol or gears. It is this philosophy which leaves him indifferent at the mention of any petrol hike, any petrol hike, any raising of petrol prices. He is totally indifferent to all these things, because he thinks that a person or people are endowed with a pair of legs in order to walk, which require no petrol or gas. So whenever people make a great noise, make hue and cry over rise of petrol prices, he remains totally indifferent. He says that he has been planning to write the most ambitious work of his life, which is to be called Testament of a Walker. The title has been ready for decades, although the book may never be written, considering its boundless scope and ramification. Whether the book will be written or not, his philosophy is that he likes to walk, and he believes that man's ultimate destiny is in walking. So he says that he is like a fanatic. He is very fond of walking. Every day he walks for at least 10 miles, either in the morning or in the evening. So he calls him a fanatic. For a fanatic like him, owning a sophisticated imported car is an irrelevancy. Is a totally an irrelevant thing, a nuisance for him. It's a sort of ornamentation for him, because among the things which he values most are privacy and anonymity. Both are lost when he travels in a flashy, imported, fashionable car. It is like he compares himself like he is a person, or he is a mahout particle, sitting in a howdah or on elephant back and hoping not to be noticed by people. So he loves privacy and anonymity. So in a compact car, in a flashy and sophisticated fashionable car, he doesn't like to travel. This is since his car was of a special pedigree, it was advisable to allow any ordinary workshop to open the bonnet. The accredited workshop with mechanics building special tools was 100 miles away at Bangalore. He was living in Mysore with his parents, and also now he is a writer of repute. He had to travel a lot, but whenever he had to get some sort of a little bit of repairing, he had to move to 100 miles away to Bangalore, where he would get the where you get the special workshop, accredited workshop, where trained mechanics will be able to open his bonnet. Otherwise, otherwise no other mechanics, no other technician can open his car and repair it. And what happened? Whenever he takes his car to that specialized accredited workshop, he has to pay them a hefty amount. He has to pay always. He has to pay a hefty amount to them every time he visits. Every time he visits that workshop, because they are very expensive. Parts are very expensive. They are repairing the mechanics, and he has to pay a lot of money to the trained mechanics or technicians. In an ironical manner, he says that a customer entering that shop was expected to be lofty-minded and discreet enough not to question the price, but part with his cash with an air of amused nonchalance and even benevolence. So he began to fear that at this rate, if he was obliged to visit the workshop every other week to share his savings, he should soon reach the brink of bankruptcy. Effortlessly, he would become a bankrupt, because in this way, in this manner, if he has to part with his hard-earned money, hard-earned savings, in keeping this imported flashy car well oiled or fit, he would soon become a bankrupt. Once what happened? Two cyclists collided and fell on his car parked in front of the hospital and smashed the parking light on the left side. It could not be ordinarily replaced in this country. The elite shop which produced one, if he was prepared to pay 2,000 for the piece. So he was totally fed up with the upbringing of this imported car, because he had to, but anyhow he had to repair he had to get the car repaired anyhow, and that settled it. He was appalled, he was very frightened at the thought of the all travel he had undergone and the expense, and considering that actually he had no use for a car, having no office or outside engagements, using it only to catch the end of a long walk. It seemed to him the most thoughtless thing he had done in his life to have acquired this car. He decided to get rid of it. So he finally decided to get rid of it, decided to sell it off, because he thought that he did not require a car, because he is a very spare user of a car. He likes walking, he loves walking, and he loves privacy and anonymity. That's why he doesn't need such a flashy and fashionable car. And he thought that he would lock it up in the safe as soon as possible in order to turn all his energies again to writing stories. He was basically a story writer, a novelist. Now this car has eaten up a lot of time. Now this car had started eating up his time, a lot of time. He was basically a novelist of repute and a great short story writer. So he thought that he would turn his energy, all energies, again to writing stories. He was not the sort of person who would enjoy getting under the car on a Sunday, as is the case with a friend of him, one of his friends, who generally spends his leisure hours under his imported car, having no trust in any mechanic or workshop in our motherland, that means in India. All his time is spent in collecting spare parts from far and near. He has succeeded in piling up enough stock to assemble a couple of new cars, if she so desires. Ironically, he says that one of his friends does that. One of his friends always keeps assembling all sorts of spare parts wherever he gets them. Whenever it becomes necessary, he strips his car bare, cuts away diseased part, and grabs a new one. It's like an expert mechanic. His friend is like an expert mechanic. Whenever it becomes necessary, he would simply loosen all the nuts and bolts of his car, cuts away this means removes the diseased part of the car, and again grabs a new one. At such moments, he speaks like a surgeon specialist in heart bypass surgery and kidney transplants. I admire the author R.K. Narayan, admire his competence, though he cannot accept his advice, which generally runs on the following lines. He gives him advice that don't part with this flashy imported car. He advised Narayan not to part with his car, but to be always on the lookout for a similar model, and he would advise to buy that car, a similar model, at any price. Then he could consider all the necessary parts from one car to, he could consider to transfer all the necessary parts from one car to another. It will work out cheaper that way. He would always look for cheaper ways of repairing a car. But R.K. Narayan cannot accept his advice. At any rate. So, because he doesn't feel like doing that, because he is given to walking. He believes in walking, and he believes that man's ultimate destiny lies in walking. So this is all about the story, The Testament of a Walker. It's a story full of irony. It's a story full of the author's notion about walking, about an automobile. What is an automobile according to the author? He defines an automobile is a means to an end. So this is all about this story, The Testament of a Walker by R.K. Narayan. In the next class, the video has already been very long. In the next class, we'll discuss some other important things about this story, and also the questions and answers. Thank you. See you then. Goodbye.